Bonjour mes amis, bienvenue à Avignon, en France. Welcome to Avignon in France. It is a wonderful night, a little cold. Um, I actually did see snow accumulating on cars at some point yesterday, which was kind of interesting. I didn't expect that in southern France, but it makes sense this time of year, February. Um, and, gets a little chilly. Starting to warm up though. Forecast looks great for the next few days. Little chilly, and then it starts to warm up. So looking forward to that. But of course, what I was looking forward to up until today was taking a cooking class, a French cooking class in France. I was really excited about that, and with a little bit of a hiccup with showing up a little earlier because they told me to show up at 9, but they really meant 9:30, and there was a confusion. Anyway, not even worth mentioning because it was a fantastic experience. Um, it's a neat setup, actually. He's got he is he's got a stand in the market, which serves as both a cooking class and a restaurant. So in the morning, he has people like me sign up to his cooking class, and they cook um, stuff for that people will be eating in the restaurant. It's really cool. So it's like win-win for everybody. So I learned some new skills. I learned about French cooking, and then I managed to sit down and chat with some nice people uh, from California and England and Belgium, and it's a nice little meal that I made. They didn't really thank me that much though. But anyway, uh, they didn't actually eat the stuff that I cooked anyway. Um, anyway, so what did we cook? We cooked ratatouille, which if you've seen the cartoon, you know what that is. I actually didn't know what it was until like a couple of years ago. Um, I I thought it was like some meat or something, but no, it's a veggie dish, and it's really good. And in fact, I had it as tapas, um, although they call it something different that I've of course forgotten. Um, but I had it as tapas in Spain, which was really cool. But now I had authentic French ratatouille in France that I made with a French chef. So um, very cool stuff. What else did we make? We made tapenade, which was like an incredible coincidence because I fell in love with the tapenade that I managed to get at the market just a couple of booths down from where we were, and was very excited when we would learn to make it. And as soon as I get home or anywhere with a blender, um, I'm making tapenade. That's really cool. Um, it's so tasty. Such a So that was the aperitif, and then yeah, we made risotto. So there's two themes that seem to be playing it themselves out on this trip for me. Um, and I expect them to continue, by the way, where my next stops are. Um, just as a hint, if you're following along and trying to guess, I'm going to two more places. So, uh, the first, um, the first theme is this change into rice. I'm not really a big rice eater, uh, or that is to say, like I'm a plain, or not plain rice. I'm a simple rice eater, right? Long grain rice, uh, you know, boil it, maybe spice it, put it with other things. That's it. I switched over to basmati a few years ago because I like it better, but that's it. I mean, the same thing. I've mentioned in other videos how I was introduced to Spanish rice, or quote unquote Spanish rice, Uncle Ben's, that kind of thing. Um, Actually, a cheap German knockoff of Uncle Ben's. Um, anyway, um, notwithstanding, but I never liked it. I thought it was gross, and I hate mushy rice. Just I can't stand it. And so things like trying risotto, right? I tried it, in some restaurants sometime, and was like, why do people eat this? And I've seen on television like some people like really get excited about risotto. Um, um, like I don't understand that at all. And I couldn't stand it. It was just mushy rice. Like, why would you want that? Like, sure, it's flavored or whatever. But as I learned in Spain, when you make paella, if you make the rice properly, it's quite good and the texture is good. And it's not supposed to be mushy. There's a technique behind it. And a lot of it has to do with the ingredients as well. But today's risotto we made was what didn't even use rice, but a very similar grain called farro, which is kind of like a really woody grain. And what was really interesting was as we were cooking, it really smelled good. Um, and because we would really bring out those flavors, and then we'd turn it into this rice dish, which is so interesting. But again, it wasn't like that mushy rice. In fact, it isn't rice; it's a wheat. But um, uh, we made it as if it was a risotto. But like everything was so um, evenly cooked, so it wasn't like mushy and then the hard little center that you get with it sometimes, right? Um, so it was delectable, and I even have to say, we made it with cheese, and that did not ruin it. I mean, I still think it would be better without the cheese, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't very cheesy actually, but there was a lot of butter in there too, so it's kind of hard to tell what's cheese and what's butter. Um, but nevertheless, it was a great experience, even just learning the technique of just like adding water, boiling, or boiling it down, that kind of thing. So also very cool. Um, and of course, we made a dessert, which had to be an almond uh, an almond cake, which was fantastic. I really liked learning how to make that because I love the almond cakes and those types of things. Really, really interesting. Um, and of course, finally, for the entree, it was where we made a duck breast, which was kind of cool. I was not very good at cutting it. Um, I saw the technique, couldn't match it. I'll have to practice. Couldn't figure that out, but it was really cool. And the cooking technique was really, really interesting too, because it was so you cook it skin down, and then you really you broil it really well, and then you flip it over for a little bit, and this is after marinating and all that, and then you put it in the oven. So you kind of bake the rest of it. It's really, really good. And yeah, everything turned out great, of course. That's the great thing about taking these classes. They're really designed. Like if you ever get the chance, most people they take the cooking class and you know they sit back and they say, oh well, I'm not a good cook and I won't be any good at it. But these things are designed for people who don't know how to cook, and basically like um, the class is engineered in the sense that like even if no one participated, the cook's going to be able to, or the chef is just going to be able to do it all himself anyway. You're just kind of helping out, and then trying the techniques. So everything you can do is just a bonus, right? They've got it all figured out. So don't worry about it. Like take the cooking class. Do as much as you think you can. They always work out. And as it did, now of course this one, he had a very good cook for an assistant, so obviously that makes things better, um, or possibly worse because I couldn't get that fat off. But anyway, so yeah, it was a really good experience. And then once we cooked, sat down, had some wine in the middle of the day, and yeah, had a really nice meal, which is exactly what those classes are all about. But I mentioned a second theme that again seems to be going. So the first one was about this rice, right? My misinterpretation of rice and how it's really good and I should try it more and give it a shot when it's done properly. Because that's really the key, right? But the second one is olive oil. Olive oil in unexpected places in particular. Like when I went to Spain, I didn't think about olive oil at all. Once I got there, people were reminding me, hey, we make great olive oil. In fact, we make the most olive oil in all of Europe. And that was a surprise to learn. But they also make it really good. I was like, yeah, well, you know, I've been to Italy, like I know olive oil, right? But I got to tell you, their stuff is good. And I bought some to cook with, and I was very happy with it. And I bought some to take with me. I've got a can of olive oil in my luggage, ready for um, you know cooking at home or wherever I choose to be. So I come to southern France, and again I have that misperception that everybody else does, that as soon as I cross the border, right, you go over the hill, it's all about butter and cheeses, right, and creams and sauces. But they're all about the olive oil in this region, and in particular they have their own kind, which of course I've forgotten the name of, which I was hoping would come to me as I was talking out loud, but it's not. Um, but in particular olive oil regions and olive harvesting periods and all that. And I got a nice lesson today about olives and olive oil. And we even met up with the place at the market where I wound up buying a bunch of olive oil a couple of days ago, including that tapenade and some olives. It's really good. And I was trying to figure out what made their olives like taste just a little different. Turns out it's just a little bit of fennel. And as soon as that he told me that, I was like, And when I got home, I still have some olives. So I was like chewing on them, like snacking on them in the afternoon, going, that's what it is. That's what it is. And it's almost an appreciation now because it's purposeful. Like before, I know this is going to sound weird, but before it was like, this weird flavor, what is it? Is it ruining it? But now that I know it's like, and I don't really like fennel, but not really. But knowing that it was put in there, all of a sudden you appreciate the flavoring. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I can see what you're doing there. Yeah, very nice. Very, very nice. So anyway, uh, so yeah, back to the theme. The theme is about this olive oil. And I bought a taster pack of the olive oil, and I've been cooking with it over the last week, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And of course, we were cooking with the olive oil. Everything we made today has tons of olive oil in it, and lots. In fact, he was saying, like with the ratatouille, you can't put too much. In the duck had olive oil. Can't put too much. And of course the risotto, which was interesting. This farro risotto, um, lots of olive oil, right? And it was good olive oil. And I'm almost out of the taster pack that I tried. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna try to decide which of the three of the taster pack that I liked better but I don't know that I know yet. So my choice is I can buy a big bottle of one of them or another taster pack. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. But these are the kinds of experiences you have to do when you come to a new country. It's a whole different perspective. I know it might sound a little trite, but food is important to people, and it's a huge part of the culture. And getting to know the food, but also understanding why the food is the way it is. Like it's one thing to have, you know, like it's one thing to try the olive oil and go, that's interesting. But it's another to understand that like they've been, you know, um, working at this forever and it was intentional. It's like that. It's not a weird flavoring. That's fennel that they put in there intentionally. Try it out. You'll like it, you know. And I think that's awesome. So another great day, another great experience. I want to go do another one. I can't seem to find, longer subject, but I can't seem to find a lot of tours going on right now. Like this place is pretty shut down for tourism. A lot of the stores are away on vacation. You'll see the congé signs on some of them, and it's like, so this might have been not the best time to come here for certain things like going on tours and taking cooking classes, for example, because they're just not available. But it's a great time because, well, in the weather, it's colder. But it's a great time because I got this whole place to myself. Like you saw me walking around, I barely saw any people, right? So, you know, can't complain about that. So anyway, I'm doing well. I hope everyone out there is also doing well. Please book your trip. Get out there, see the cultures, taste the food, learn how to cook that food. You'll be the better for it. So with that, I will say adieu, au revoir, and good night.